am the Deputy Director, Admissions and Outreach at OP Jindal Global Law School. It's indeed an honor and privilege to have all of you present here. Today, we are not actually talking about a conventional career option, or we are not here to discuss about anything which you people have already heard or you people already know about. It's something which is very, very different. Now, basically, I'll talk something very generic because I have experts who are going to talk about the theme or the agenda that we are going to discuss. But I'm going to be talking something very generic, which we as students of class 11th and 12th ought to know. See, essentially, class 11th and 12th happens to be a very, very problematic stage in any student's life. And the basic problem begins from the time you step into class 11th. The first and foremost problem which a child faces coming to class 11th is stream selection. 90% of the people in our country, they choose their career by chance and not by choice. And this is a very, very common, which predominantly all the students face. In fact, I face the same problem. Now, the basic issue is what stream to choose, what career to choose. That's a very, very common question and a very, very ironical question, which most of the students get to face. Majorly, what happens if a child is from PCM background, he basically wants to get into engineering. Majorly, what happens if a child has opted for commerce, he wants to go for Delhi University or a BCom or an Eco honors or maybe an English honors. Or if a child has opted for PCB, he basically looks for options like probably going in for medical or probably studying a BSc in chemistry or biology. But why do you limit yourself to just studying these generic courses? That's my major question. I've counseled more than 1 lakh plus students in my past 8 to 9 years tenure of student counseling and training. What I fail to understand is that any course in the country is not stream agnostic. It is not dependent upon what have you studied till class 12 and what are you going to do in future. In fact, the best part about any of the colleges or any of the courses in our country in current date is, with the new education policy coming in, is that any of the course or any good college in any country, in India particularly, will give you admission on the basis of a simple entrance exam parameter now. It will not be testing the merit of your class 12th marks. So irrespective, you are a 99 percenter in your class 12th or irrespective, you are a 69 percenter in your class 12, that barely makes any difference. In order to get to a decent college or a decent course in any of the top or reputed universities of the country, you can actually write an entrance examination and you can actually get into a decent college. Now, what are these entrance examinations? Understand that point. See, there are majorly 2 kinds of entrance examinations that take place in our country. One is known as knowledge-based entrance examinations, and the other is known as aptitude-based entrance examination. Knowledge-based entrance examinations are those entrance examinations where whatever you have studied in class 11th and 12th is going to play a vital role. So essentially, your class 12 syllabus or your curriculum of class 12 is actually going to be of high relevance or of key importance. So let's assume if a child is not very, very good in his academics of class 11th and 12th, might not be able to get into a decent college because of the same problems which he's facing probably in his class 11th and 12th. The other set of entrance examination is what I consider to be, which I believe that the students are very lucky to have. The other set of entrance examination is known as aptitude-based entrance examination. Aptitude is something which has got nothing to do with what you have studied in class 11th and 12th. It majorly tests you on 3 major areas: logical reasoning, critical reasoning, or you can also name analytical reasoning, reading comprehension skills. And any good college in the country per se tests you on these entrance examination patterns. And in fact, today's agenda is very, very simple. When I talk about getting through a decent college, a decent course, or something of that sort, I believe in students choosing stream neutral career options. Now, when I say stream neutral career options, one of the most common stream neutral career options in today's world scenario is basically law. Law is the new liberal arts. Any student, any child who's basically completing class 12 from any particular stream is actually choosing law as a primary career option over engineering and medical nowadays, because of obvious reasons. It has a lot more demand and we have very limited supply. If you talk about intake of top law schools in the country, we must be only having 2,000, 2,500 plus students who actually, just study from tier 1 law schools of the country. Now, another problem is a lot of students who are coming into class 12, they come up to me with a very simple question. Sir, how do I know that I'm actually meant for law? Or should I be going in for a 5-year program? Let's say my interest in the program is not lasting till 5 years. Let's say in 3 years' time, I don't want to study any further. What should I do? For that thing, we are basically introducing 3 new programs in Jindal Global Law School. The 3 new programs are BA in Gender Studies, BA in Human Rights, and BA in Criminology. Now understand, these 3 new programs are not any generic programs which are offered by any particular institution or any particular university in the country. We are the first ones to do that. Why? Because there is a lot of thought process and idea behind introducing such a program. This program does not only create a foundation, or any particular program of gender or human rights or criminology does not only create a foundation for you studying a 3-year LLB after that. It basically in itself is a complete subject area, or it's in itself a complete specialization altogether. When you study gender, we sensitize you towards gender issues. When you study human rights, we introduce the concept of understanding the ideas and the theme behind human rights ideologies, helping people. And when we teach you criminology, or when you go in for a BA in criminology, we basically introduce you to the concept of understanding why does crime happen, what is the mindset of criminals, and understanding the entire nature of criminal justice system. Now, these 3 new programs does not only create a foundation, they basically in itself are a complete curriculum that is being taught to you in Jindal Global Law School. Now, these 3 new programs, when you enroll with us or when you want to go for these 3 new programs, the basic idea is not only to go for a distinct BA program, but to study a new subject area, which has a lot of demand. And we are the first ones to actually introduce such a program. Today, what we are going to do in this session is we are going to answer all your queries and all the questions relating to gender studies, relating to criminology, or relating to human rights. Because any program, if you enroll for that, just don't believe that this program is something that you will do for 3 years and after that, maybe it's worth it or maybe it's not. But more importantly, the question to any student who wants to join a new program, the basic question which he should ask himself is, what after 3 years? What should be my career scope? How am I going to take this forward? And my agenda for today's seminar is that today we tell you what is the way forward for 3 new programs that we are actually offering. Because any new program would be having a lot of apprehensions. How is it going to work out? But at Jgls, when we are introducing something, we do a lot of research, we have a lot of conviction, and we believe in the product, we believe in the program, and we believe in the courses. The curriculum itself is designed by one of the finest minds of the country. And today you're going to know more about it. So let's introduce BA Gender Studies with our program head, Stuti Lal, to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I am Stuti Lal, the manager of undergraduate admissions, and I am the program head for gender studies. I am also a PhD scholar at Jindal Global Law School. So before we begin with what do we understand by gender studies, we need to understand one basic question. What is gender? What is your understanding of gender? And when you hear the term gender studies, what is it that comes to your mind the first? So, so the basic first premise is that people have this huge misconception that gender studies is the same as women's studies. Gender studies is not just about women's studies. It is about the study of men, masculinity, women, and non-binary identities. Yeah, it is about equality, but we fail to understand that all of us are same, but all of us do not have equal opportunities. All of us do not have access to same kind of things. Yeah. So most of us fail to understand that gender is interwoven in everything that we do, everything that we are, everything that we have become over the time period. Everything is ruled by gender. The way we dress up, the spaces we occupy, the jobs that we take up, and every little thing is interwoven in a social fabric. Now, how do we realize how to dress up or how to carry ourselves? You must have heard the term gender stereotype. Where does that come from? So it is only after struggle of these genders in a differentiated world that we have come up with the identity of gender, and our society has fixed standards and rules and norms by which it regulates all these genders. And gender cannot operate in isolation. Everything that we are and everything that we do, everything that we study is ruled and governed by gender. So gender studies deals with production, reproduction, and resistance to these norms that produce inequality among the genders. Now we often hear that women are usually considered to be the inferior sex because of the oppression over the years. We also hear that the other identities, like non binary identities, the queer identities, LGBTQIA, they've had to struggle for all these years to be recognized. Why has that been? And what is the root? So once when we study gender in depth, and once we analyze it through the gender lens, we we understand that if we integrate gender with other disciplines like economics, political science, psychology, social sciences, we realize the struggle and their struggles over all these years. Now, um, ma'am, yeah. So some of the important issues of life per se revolve around gender, and being a man or a woman or inhabiting a post-binary invention of gender is all governed in the social fabric of a society. And we need to understand that Jindal Global Law School has launched this 3-year BA honors in gender studies program, which is learning by doing. It's a praxis-based learning where you will be required to intern with the think tanks, the activists, where you'll understand how these things operate. And then the transition of theory from the classroom will happen to the real world. So, with this, I would like to draw your attention towards the second thing, that if you study gender, you can be gender experts, you can have a career in law, you can take up a career in teaching, public policy, social sciences, and so on. And if you have any questions, we'll take that up towards the end of this session. I would like to introduce Manisha, who is our head for BA honors in human rights.
Hello, everyone. My name is Manisha Bhagat, and I am the head for BA Honors Human Rights. First of all, delighted to be a part of this session, and also now I'll tell you about the new program which the Jindal Global Law School has introduced to us, including these two programs such as Gender Studies and Criminology. So now I'll just ask you, what do you understand by human rights? As a layman, what do you understand by human rights? So when we whenever we study about human rights, we have this factor in us to work for the humanity, the mankind, and the people who are vulnerable, who cannot access to their basic fundamental human rights, the basic fundamental human rights such as right to life. So right to life is also mentioned in Article 21 of our Constitution, which talks about not just a mere life, but a dignified life. So human rights, when we talk about human rights, are the rights which we have because of because we exist as human being per se. So it is an inherent right, and it is an inherent right and a universal right, which is granted to us regardless of our sex, regardless of our religion, language, or any other status. So when we talk about why be a human rights, why an honors program in human rights. So the honors program, the philosophy of behind bringing up this course, the philosophy for Jgls to bring this course is to create human rights experts. Rather, I would say the best human rights experts of the country, which can address the human rights concern at individual as well as at the community level. So now we have, when we talk about human rights education. So human rights education as an academic discipline is a remarkable and is mind-intriguing course. And I'm pretty much sure as a student, as a social science student, me being a social science, as a lawyer, have always been during our school times, have been intrigued by this course and by the very philosophy about what is human rights, how we can be a part of a society in helping the people who need human rights assistance, whom human rights violation has been done, like children's, like women's right, refugees. So we have be a human rights program has a very unique course curriculum, a very unique pedagogy. The pedagogy include such as it is a knowledge-based pedagogy, it is a skill-based pedagogy, and it is a participatory learning pedagogy. What is knowledge-based pedagogy? So the knowledge-based pedagogy of BA Human Rights is research-based. We go to the historical development, that how human rights came into picture after the Second World War and other relevant precedent case studies. And then when we talk about participatory learning, we talk about empathizing, and there is a sense of belongingness, the human, and then there is human right clinics for us, and then there is we would work into field works and report writing. These are some of the course curriculum aspect of this BA Honors Human Rights program at Jgls. So when we proceed, when you further proceed in the years of human rights education as BA Honors program, so in the first year of the curriculum, we basically obtain a deep understanding about what is human rights. We develop a professional skill, and later we head towards empowering through knowledge, rights-based education, knowledge about human rights, and then we come up with experimental learning. Experimental learning talks about how we reflect through problem solving, how our reactions are towards teamwork, working as a team. So these are some of the aspects of human rights, be honors in human rights. So basically, further when we move, so what are the career opportunities? When we talk about the career opportunities of human rights, we have a spectrum of career opportunities such as advocate, social workers. We can work in national and international organization, United Organization, and we can work as a journalist. We can work as a in a researcher. We can also work as an academician. So there is a horizon of career opportunities, and by the end of this course, you would actually realize, and you will actually have a clarity of mind that about the spectrum of career opportunities which this course has to provide you. The faculties which will teach you this course will equip you with various of variety of knowledge and understanding, and will awaken your critical thinking about and question about critical thinking, which will ask you to question the current human rights violation happening in the country and around the globe. It will broaden your horizon of thinking and understanding about different race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, indigenous people, and other groups. So basically, this course will give you a broader horizon about anything and everything related to human rights, and also the interdisciplinary course which the course has to offer will give you a broader aspect of career opportunities. So now I'll ask Priyanka to give you more information about our third course, which is Criminology, and she would give you a better understanding about that course.
Yeah, good evening, all of you. I hope I'm audible and visible to everyone out there. Am I?
Yes, Priyanka.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you, Henny. So a very warm good evening to everyone out there. So today I'm here to speak about the newly launched course of BA Honors Criminology and Criminal Justice. And I'm as excited as you all to, tell you about this, to make you understand why you should take up this course, to make you understand why we have started this course. So before going into the intricacies of the course, to tell you about what are we offering to you, I would like to talk a bit about criminology in India. Right? So our course is not just BA Honors in Criminology, but our course is BA Honors in Criminology and Criminal Justice. So there are a lot of meanings to it. So before that, let me tell you, Jindal is launching an unparalleled and unprecedented course. And when I say unparalleled and unprecedented, I'm very honest. I'm being truly honest to my words, because this kind of a course was never introduced anywhere in the country. You can check out the brochures for all the courses, including any of the universities in the country. No other university is offering a course, an exclusive course on criminology and criminal justice. So prior to let's say 2022, prior to now, if you have to study criminology, the only option you had was either take up psychology, wherein you will be studying criminology as an option, or else take up law. You can be a criminal lawyer, but nothing as solid as criminology. So like Abhay sir pointed out, let's start taking this as a choice and not just as an option in psychology or under law as such. So that is one thing. Second thing about criminology, why we should be taking up criminology. What is it about criminology? So criminology, criminal justice, crime, these are not new words to us. We as Indians have been hearing it from time immemorial, right? So these are not new words, but a course on criminology is relatively new to us. It's completely new to us. I'll tell you a very famous thing, which a very famous philosopher in Italy has once mentioned, that criminals are born and they are not made. It is completely opposite to what we believe in our country, right? So what do we say? If a crime has been happening, we always say that, oh, he was brought up this way. Oh, his family background is like this. Oh, he belongs to these places. That is why he is behaving like this. But this philosophy says criminals are born and they are not made. So the point is, the moment a child is born, he's a criminal from the very moment. So how is it so? So we will be teaching you such things under criminology. So we will be teaching you how a crime happens, what goes into the mind of the criminal, how a criminal reacts, and how you should be dealing with the criminal. So I understand that all of you are definitely not going to take up law. Although I am a lawyer, but my understanding of criminal justice and criminology is that it is completely different from law, because under criminology and criminal justice, we are not dealing with the solid sections of IPC or CRPC or the Evidence Act, which constitute the solid form of our Indian criminal system. Rather, we will be studying about the psychology of the criminals. And one more thing, under it, we will also be studying about a subspecies of victimology. So victimology is something which is coming up in in a hard pace in our country, which is not being recognized by a lot of universities. But if you look into the website, if you look into the internet, a lot of new researches are coming up stating that we need more research on victimology, because victims' perspective was never taken into consideration. So this course is basically structured by our experts, keeping in view criminology, penology, and victimology side by side. So in the beginning, you will be studying what is criminology, the basics of criminology, the basics of criminal. And towards the second semester, you will be understanding international criminal law, which also gives you wide horizons to understand criminal justice system in India versus that of abroad. So you will also understand why do we call justice system as criminal justice system. Have you ever wondered why is it that criminals are getting justice, not the victim? Why is it criminal justice system? So these things, like these kind of suspenses will be unfolded towards the end of the course that you will be pursuing. Towards your second year is completely dedicated to victimology. You will be studying the intricacies of victimology, what a victim goes through, right? Although all of us can sympathize, how many of us can empathize? So the course on criminology will also be making you understand about victimology. What is victimology? How does victimology work? And how should one behave with a victim also? So it will not only be making you understand about the basics of victimology, but it will also be making you understand about the theories of victimology. And towards the end, you will be like towards the third year, you will be studying about the entire course structure will be dealing with penology. Like then you will be studying a solid structure of criminology in foreign countries, how criminology functions. You will be studying psychology, and you will have a lot of additional subjects also. So over and above all of these subjects, you will also be having compulsory internships. So if you find out a course on BA Criminology in the country, you will be seeing that, yeah, they are providing in distant courses. There are no regular courses in the country. And also there is no internship, maybe because they don't have enough infrastructure, resources, or whatever. But in Jindal, you have to go through a compulsory internships. Imagine you're interning at the CBI office with police officers in prisons. So after the entire 3 years of your course, you will be a reformed person altogether. You will be looking at each person from the point of view of criminologist. You will be looking at each person from the point of view of what are the crimes he could have been committed. What is this? You will be analyzing each and every situation on the basis of how it functions. So criminology and criminal justice as a course, I assure you that it is going to transform you as a person. So prior to this, like I already mentioned, we used to take up criminology as an option. Like, okay, we have taken up psychology, it has an option. Okay, let's compromise, take up psychology so that we can get criminology. But now you don't have to do it. You can take it as a choice. Your choice will be provided to you by OP Jindal as this new course, which is BA Honors, Criminology and Criminal Justice. Right? So thank you. That was all from my side. So now we'll open house for questions. You can ask us questions on these 3 specific courses. And I request you to please be specific on these 3 courses. And, don't ask us questions on LSAT or law, such things. We are dealing with these 3 courses. So that would be, in order to save time, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
So basically, one more thing that I'd like to highlight, or I'd like to address with all of you, is that anybody who's looking for admissions in any of these 3 programs, be it gender studies, human rights, or criminology, the basic criteria for admission at Jgls for these 3 new programs is you qualifying an examination known as Jsat. So I would request Manisha or Priyanka or Stuti, anyone, to share the form link of Jsat on the chat box so that everyone can have a look. Now, Jsat is an examination which happens on a similar line as LSAT. That is also majorly an aptitude-based test where you basically tested on critical reasoning, analytical reasoning, and reading comprehension skills. Right? So the application for Jsat 2022 for these 3 new programs is already open. Anybody who wants to seek admission for any of these 3 new courses has to compulsively apply for Jsat and has to clear the entrance examination. Apart from that, if any of you is also an aspirant for law and is also looking at law as a career option at Jgls and has given the LSAT examination in January, and now somehow you're inclined towards getting into these 3 new programs, then in that case, you don't need to write the Jsat examination. All you need to do is you need to contact Stuti, Manisha, or Priyanka, or me rather, for admission in these 3 new programs once your LSAT January result is out. So LSAT result is optional that we take for admission, and compulsive selection process is the Jsat examination that we have for these 3 new programs. Now we open the house for questions regarding any doubts you people have, please. No, so one question that we've got from Sia is that, are these courses integrated with LLB? So no, they're not integrated with LLB. So basically, if you're looking at LLB, for that, you'll have to again apply for LSAT after 3 years of your completion of the course, and thereafter you'll be able to get admission. This is not an auto upgradation program that we are offering. These are 3 very different programs and totally new programs. I think we have a question for Priyanka. Priyanka, a question is from Samaira. She wants to ask, do we get a dual degree in criminology?
Yeah, I can see that. Yes, sir. Thank you. So, Samaira, we don't have a dual degree in criminology. It is a single course as such. It's just that post this, if you want to pursue your LLB or any other thing, you have to then appear for this the said entrance exam. But there is nothing like a dual degree. So maybe you must have gone through the old brochure. Maybe that is why you had this question. The new brochure exactly mentions this. There is nothing called a dual degree.
Tanuj Deswal has asked one question twice, in fact. Ma'am, without entrance exam, can I get admission in Jindal University? Absolutely not. you have to appear for Jsat Law to be a part of BA Honors in Gender Studies, BA Honors in Human Rights, and BA Honors in Criminology and Criminal Justice. So please apply on the link given in the chat box and be a part of Jgls.
Another question that has come up is somebody has asked that what is the minimum score that is required for criminology course in the LSAT? Now, I'd like to answer this question. For LSAT, basically what you have to do is LSAT has a very different percentile-based setup. So we will accept the LSAT score if you are qualifying the LLB, if you're qualifying or the 5-year entrance exam criteria as well. So ultimately, the percentile range should be around 60 to 70 percentile. Only then you will be considered for admission in the program of criminology or gender studies. So it should be in the range of 50, 60, somewhere like that. 50 to 60 percentile.
Sir, you are on mute.
So there's another question. It says, if appearing for LSAT in May, will it fetch admission to BA Honors in Criminology? Priyanka, would you like to take that?
Sure, sir, definitely. So see, our first priority is definitely JSAT. That is what I also recommend you to take the JSAT exam, which is something you can take on everyday basis. Like you can schedule it according to your own interest, like your own availability. But yes, we will also be taking up LSAT, but that is secondary. I strongly recommend you to take up JSAT. If not, definitely we'll be taking LSAT, the May one as well.
Priyanka, we have another question for you, which says that somebody has already taken provisional admission for BA Honors in Psychology. Now, without any additional examination, can the child go in for criminology?
No, so actually these two schools are completely different. So we are a part of the law school. So you have to give in the JSAT law exam to get qualified. So we are not taking up any other entrance. I hope that I answered your question.
Another question, if one does BA Honor in Criminology, will it open way for doing MPhil in Forensic Psychology from Gandhinagar?
It doesn't. You have to pursue your MA first and then your MPhil. But one more thing I wanted to point out was there is this option of you appearing for UGC Net Exam in Criminology. I'm not sure how many subjects offer that, but that has the least competition. So UGC had come up with a list with the least competitive exams as such. So UGC Net in Criminology is the least competitive. You can do that post your MA. But to get admission into MPhil, you have to pursue your MA first in criminology.
I think Stuti would like to take that. Stuti, what is the minimum percentage required to take admission in JSAT examination? For admission in gender or criminology?
Yeah, first you need to apply on the link given there. And then one thing that you need to know about JSAT law, that it's an AI proctored exam. Once you fill up the form within 24 to 48 hours, you can schedule your slot, you can book a slot and schedule your examination. And ideally, if you have a percentile above 60, if you have scored above 60 percentile, you have a very high chance to be admitted to any of these three newly launched courses. And be it gender, be it human rights, be it criminology, you can be a part of it.
I think Ishan asked a question some time back, but I think you have already given the answer to that, Priyanka. What is the difference between what is being taught in law and criminal justice? And I think you explained it really beautifully. So what is the difficulty level of the JSAT examination? I think, Manisha, you can actually take the question.
Yes.
Manisha, Manisha, you can again start with the answer.
Yeah, hello. So it is basically an aptitude test, and the difficulties of the exam depends on the level of your preparation. Rather, I would say that, and one can easily get a good score if he is prepared well.
So there's one more question. Are any of these courses integrated with LLB? This is a question from Sia Sethi. No, Sia, these are independent courses. These are not integrated with LLB. After the completion of 3 years in BA Honors in Gender Studies, Human Rights, or Criminology and Criminal Justice, you need to take the LSAT and be a part of LLB honors course. So it's not integrated, and I hope that helps.
Another thing I'd like to clarify is that if at all you're interested in writing the Jsat examination and you really want to know the difficulty level, or you want to understand how the examination pattern is, you can actually, contact us directly through the admission page, through the link. We can actually provide you with sample papers of last year Jsat examination so that you can have a fair amount of idea as to what is the difficulty level, what is the kind of questions that are asked in the examination. Roughly a score of around 50 to 60 percentile in the LSAT examination, or the similar score in the Jsat examination, is the primarily qualifying criteria for you to get into these 3 new programs of gender studies, criminology, or human rights. So all you need to do is you just need to contact us for sample papers and last year's papers, because a lot of students might be writing the Jsat examination for the first time, must have heard of the Jsat examination probably for the very first time. So if you really want to have a look and get a feel of how the examination is, what is the difficulty level, you can contact any of the independent admission officer, right? Be it Stuti, Manisha, or Priyanka. They will facilitate you with the last year's question paper, and you'll have a fair amount of idea as to what is the difficulty level of the entrance examination. What is the fee structure? Okay, so I would like Stuti to individually talk about the fee structure, Manisha to individually talk about the fee structure, and Priyanka to individually talk about the fee structure. But before you do that, I'd like to point out something. Beyond the fees, this year, Jgls has introduced a new scholarship policy in which the top 5 students of the entrance examination, or top 5 students who qualify the entrance examination, would be even awarded a scholarship up to 100%. So that is all in all the courses that we are offering that. So the scholarship ranges are there, which can extend to 50% to 100% even this year, right? So I think individual program heads can answer the question now.
So for gender studies, for being a part of BA Honors in Gender Studies, the tuition fees is 3.5 lakhs per annum, and the residential fees is 2.76 lakhs per annum. And the top 5 students will be getting 100% scholarship on the tuition fees. So there's only one criteria, that your family income has to be less than 30 lakhs. So that's about gender. Priyanka and Manisha, please take over.
Yeah, I'll talk about criminology. So for criminology, the fees is 3,50,000 again. And once the college reopens, we'll be charging you for the hostel also, which is 2,76,000, right? So this is for criminology. Manisha?
So it is same with BA Human Rights as well. We have a program fee for 3.50 per annum. Residential fee is 2.76 per annum. Yeah, this is the fees. We would be charging the residential fees once the college reopens.
There is no fee fluctuation, Ishan. It's the same fees throughout the year. Another thing which I believe all three of my colleagues have answered really well to all of you is that these 3 new programs are actually nowhere related with LLB or a 5-year law program. These are interdisciplinary studies which are independent in nature. But one thing which is very, very important for all of you to understand is there is always a dilemma when a child goes in for a 5-year LLB degree or for a BLLB program. In fact, we all are lawyers. In fact, we all had the similar kind of dilemma that whether we'll be able to sit in the college or pass so many entrance examinations or appear for so many vivas and so many tests in the span of 5 years. Though we loved it, we are not complaining about it. But the fact of the matter is that any new student who's going in for a 5-year program has this apprehension. These three new programs are basically not totally related with law, but I would say that they're not totally independent also of it. So at least if you go for gender, or if you go for human rights, or if you go for criminology, at least it basically clears one of the most important doubts, that whether you're actually meant to study law further, or you are actually satisfied with the things that you have learned in this 3-year program. So ultimately, this also creates a very, very strong foundation for you to study law in future. Means after studying these program, or after studying human rights, or maybe gender, or maybe criminology for 3 years, it might be a possibility that this is just a specific branch that is being taught in law. Law in itself is very, very vast. It creates a good background. So any student who's actually opting to go in for BLLB or a BBLLB program and is not able to clear the cutoff of LSAT examination can actually consider getting into a gender studies or a human rights or a criminology program, because this program does not only introduce you to one of the most important specialization that you would never get in a 5-year LLB program, but it also creates a very, very strong foundation for you to study law in future.
So you're on mute. Before that,
we have a
Ishant,
question.
yeah.
We have a question which talks about compulsory to pay the
Yes.
residential fees even if we don't live in the hostels. So no, that's not there. Means it was answered by Stuti that once the hostel opens, only then you have to pay the fees. Sir, can you elaborate on the placements after criminology? Priyanka would like to take that, I think.
Definitely. So one thing, we'll definitely give you opportunities to get a job, but we are not assuring you. That is something I want to tell you about all the courses, that we do not assure you. So I'm getting a lot of calls asking me whether you assure us a job post criminology. Nobody can assure you a job post criminology, post any of the courses. It completely depends on the child's ability to understand and how he performs throughout the course. If you are a well performer, even if you're an average performer, you'll definitely get a job. If not, that's what. And plus it also depends on how you perform in the interview, right? So it depends on all these criteria. There are a lot of places which call you, which ask for a particular CGPA criteria also. So that is one thing. Second thing I would like to answer with this is, what are the career options post criminology? You can get into law enforcement, and like I've already mentioned, if you have done, if let's say you pursue your MA in criminology, post that you can appear for the UGC Net Exam and be a professor directly, or you can definitely go into law. You can be a criminal lawyer. You can go into consulting firms. You can work with CBIs. So CBI, so which is Central Bureau of Investigation. They come up with vacancies of criminologists, forensic scientists. You can go into the forensics, to being a forensic scientist. You can be an independent detective also. You can go into public administration also. So there are a lot of vacancies under government, central government and state government. I'm talking about Delhi as such. So they also come up with vacancies such as as that of a criminologist in their various branches. And then definitely as into government policy analyst, and you can definitely work in foreign service as a foreign service worker also. So these are the options that is being provided once you pursue your course in criminology and criminal justice. Yes, that's all.
Also, one thing which was again pointed out by one of my colleagues earlier was that in these programs, we are actually providing you compulsory internship also. Now, we have a separate department which is actually dealing with internships and placement, which is known as the OCS, okay, which is known as Office of Career Studies. So basically, we have a placement cell, we have a training cell, we have an internship cell, which basically is very actively working on to providing you internship every semester or probably every year of the program. So once you get into an internship, obviously, if you are getting an internship of your choice, and if you're actually working at a place where you're actually liking the work culture and they like your work too, you get PPOs, you get pre-placement offers from many of these organizations. And this happens in most of the law universities or law colleges across the country. So most of the colleges are not actually placement providing agencies. They are colleges. Their job is to teach. But we can only facilitate you with career choices, career options, and beyond that, it is totally upon your hard work and your commitment towards the program. So I think this is the last question we'll take, and it's again for Priyanka. So Priyanka, the question is, I get a degree in criminology and criminal justice here. Will the degree be credible to pursue masters in abroad?
Definitely. In fact, the answer should be obviously, but yes, definitely, it is a credible degree. You can definitely pursue a master's abroad. There are a lot of universities, such as Arizona University, so on and so forth, that offers the best in criminology. So, if generally what they ask for is a BA in psychology or BA in criminology, and definitely a course from Jindal is definitely worth it. Like, it's definitely credible.
So I think we should summarize today's discussion. I think it was a wonderful discussion, and we'll keep on having more such discussions to clarify more doubts about criminology, gender studies, or human rights, right? All three are unique programs in itself. I just like to add to that. See, any program that you're going in for, be it gender studies or be it criminology or be it human rights, all three are distinct. All three are unique programs in itself. So each and every program has its own USPs, has its own value. So we cannot say that a program in criminology or human rights or gender studies is not as good as a BA legal studies or is not good as an LLB program. Ultimately, if you take it as a new course or a new program, you might have a lot of apprehensions. But if you take it as a graduation degree, which you can actually go in for after class 12, it's going to sort most of the questions which you might have. Studying a BA program or studying a BA political science, or maybe a BA geography, sociology, or political science from Delhi University, where probably you would require a percentage criteria of, let's say, 98.5 and above, and in spite of that, there is no assurance whether you're going to get a seat into the top 10 or 11, like SRCC, Hindu Hansraj, Ramjas Kirodimal, Sriram Venkateshwara, Daulatram KMC. So basically getting out of that shell and opting for a different program where you're not even, we're not looking at a percentage of 98.5, where don't provide, we're not providing any sort of, any sort of privilege or any sort of, backdoor entries to anybody. It's all very clear. It's all very crystal clear. You qualify the entrance examination and you have the opportunity to study at one of the best law institution of the country, recognized as the institution of eminence now. And more importantly, we are amongst the top 100 law schools in the world now, and ranked as #1 private law school in India. So any which ways, if you're coming in the university with the objective of pursuing a graduation, you're coming in the university with the objective of pursuing the graduation in a very diversified discipline, these are the three courses that you should definitely look up to. I think we have another question for Stuti. We will take that. What can be a good career option with gender studies course?
So, like I said, that gender is interdisciplinary. You can find gender in almost everything that you see in your day-to-day activities. It is a part of all those disciplines like economics, sociology, psychology, public policy. So, from a career point of view, you can be a gender expert. You can have a career in teaching. You can have a career in public policy. You can have a career in activism, advocacy, campaigns, and whatnot. It has a diverse range of career prospects. And I think most of you would be aware of the fact that all the multinational companies are now mandated to have a gender expert to analyze everything, any bias or any discrimination that happens in an organization through a gendered lens. So for those reasons, they have to have a gender expert in their organization. So you can be one of those. So the options are not limited. The options are endless. All you need to do is focus on getting knowledge and in-depth understanding of the course, and gender studies will open doors for you undoubtedly.
So thank you so much, Stuti, Manisha, Priyanka. It was wonderful having a discussion with all of you. And we hope we have answered almost all the questions possible, and hope to see you all writing the entrance examination ASAP and enrolling with us and enjoying the beautiful campus at Jgls and having a wonderful time studying these three new programs. Thank you so much. Have a great night ahead. Bye, everyone.